New tonight, a Delaware community is still reeling after a tragic shooting ending in the death of an 18-year-old that left two others injured while the suspect remains at large. Plus, jurors have been chosen for the trial of the so-called beast, suspected of several killings here in Delaware and in Pennsylvania, including his own mother. And Delawareans are in for a bit of a reprieve in their utility bills for now, amid concerns over potential oil price surges due to the Israel-Hamas conflict. Those stories and much more coming up tonight on DETV News. Good evening and welcome to DETV News. I'm Matt Ford. Thanks for being with us tonight. Making headlines today, schools in Laurel are reopened today after a shooting in the community left one teenager dead and two other teens hurt. There was an increased police presence in schools today, as well as counselors available to students. Schools in the Sussex County community were closed Monday after three teens were shot at West 7th and Center Streets in Laurel Sunday afternoon. An 18-year-old boy had died, and a 15-year-old as well as a 13-year-old boy were taken to the hospital in stable condition. Police have not released any information about a possible suspect or a motive. Anyone with information is asked to call police. And state police have identified the victim of a fatal shooting in Selbyville as 21-year-old Abriana Ingram of Milford. Just before midnight on Saturday, police responded to a reported shooting in the parking lot of a strip mall on DuPont Boulevard. Police say a fight had broken out during a Halloween party and attendees were asked to disperse. The fight then continued into the parking lot where Ingram and a 30-year-old Seaford woman were shot. We're told the two victims were not involved in the fight. The suspect fled the scene and is still at large. Ingram was taken to a nearby hospital where she died. The other victim was treated and released. Anyone with information is asked to call state police or send them a private Facebook message. The information that you give them can remain anonymous. And police have found the driver of a pickup truck who they say ran away after a deadly hit-and-run crash near Smyrna after his truck caught fire early Monday morning. The pickup truck driver is a 23-year-old man from Smyrna who police have not charged as of yet as they continue to investigate the crash. Police have also identified the victim of the crash as 71-year-old David Lister of Henderson, Maryland. A pickup truck and a car collided head-on, and this happened on Wheatley's Pond Road. The pickup truck landed on the driver's side and then caught fire. The car spun around and crashed into a utility pole, as you see here. Police said it is not clear which driver crossed the center line of the road before the crash. They asked that anyone who may have witnessed the crash or has any information is asked to call 302-698-8451 or call Delaware Crime Stoppers at 1-800-TIP-3333. And the trial of a suspected serial killer who calls himself the Beast began Monday with jury selection. 41-year-old Keith Gibson, seen here, is accused in the deaths of several people in Delaware and Pennsylvania during a violent crime spree back in 2021. You may remember this. A jury panel of 12 was selected for the trial of Gibson, who is being tried for the killings of an Ellesmere cell phone store manager and a Wilmington man in two separate robberies. The fatal shootings are among a host of charges against the man outlined in a 41-count indictment, including assault and attempted murder in two other shootings in Wilmington. The Philadelphia District Attorney has approved murder charges against Gibson for the killings of his mother and a Philadelphia donut shop manager, as well as the deaths of two men found shot in the head inside of a store in Philadelphia's Germantown neighborhood. More than 80 people have been listed as potential witnesses at the trial, which is expected to last up to 4 weeks. Attorneys presented their opening statements today. Gibson, who has a long criminal history, is accused of going on a violent rampage shortly after being released in December of 2020 from a Delaware prison where he served about 13 years for manslaughter. And a special Wilmington City Council meeting, which was supposed to happen last night, was canceled. At this meeting, the council was to vote on an ordinance to amend Wilmington's 5-year residency period requirement and establish the geographical boundaries within the city of Wilmington limits. Now, the meeting was supposed to be open to the public so that members of the public could sign up to speak before the meeting started. There has been no word on the rescheduling of this meeting or where the 5-year residency period requirement stands at the current moment. And the Republican who received the party's most votes among statewide candidates in the 2020 Delaware general election is trying again, but this time for a different office. Danielle Hall, who received nearly 41% of the vote, ultimately losing it to Lieutenant Governor campaign Bethany Hall Long in 2020, announced that she will run for the U.S. House in 2024. The United States Air Force veteran says that she would like to see Delaware put into place a more robust school choice option seen in other states that could extend to private schools. She says Delawareans have been hurt at the pocketbooks by Delaware's minimum wage that, as you know, will extend to $15 by 2025, and she cites inflation. Hall is the first Republican to declare a candidacy for U.S. House seat being vacated by Lisa Blunt Rochester, who is running for Senator Tom Carper's seat. Treasurer Colleen Davis, State Senator Sarah McBride, and Delaware State Housing Authority Director Eugene Young have all announced bids for the Democratic nomination. And sticking with politics, Lieutenant Governor Bethany Hall Long has issued an update on her run for governor after she announced last month that her campaign finances were being audited. Summit CPA, a Delaware-based certified public accounting firm, was brought on board to audit Hall Long's campaign finances. As part of the audit, the firm reviewed hundreds of receipts of campaign-related expenses as well as loans and Bethany and her husband made back during her first campaign for statewide office in 2016. While reporting errors were made, they determined that Bethany and her husband lent more for campaign-related expenses over the course of prior campaigns than they were reimbursed for. So no wrongdoing or violations were found according to this audit. The firm found that Hall Long and her husband covered various campaign-related expenses using personal credit cards and loans that were not accurately reflected in previous campaign finance reports. Hall Long halted all fundraising efforts last month following the announcement of the audit. Now moving forward, she says she's ready to resume fundraising and move forward with the campaign. Hall Long is set to face Newcastle County Executive Matt Meyer in the Delaware primary election that's set for September 3rd, 2024. And the Food and Drug Administration is flagging eye drops for risk of blindness. The FDA warns against buying or using some over-the-counter eye drops from major brands due to potential risk of vision loss. The FDA flagged 27 eye care products from CVS Health, Rite Aid, Target, Walmart, and other stores. The FDA recommended the manufacturer of these products recall all lots after investigators found insanitary conditions in the manufacturing facility. The agency also found positive bacterial test results from environmental sampling of critical drug production areas within the facility. Walmart, CVS, Rite Aid, and Target are removing the products from their store shelves and websites, while products branded as Leader, Rugby, and Velocity may still be available to purchase in stores and online. The FDA warns that those products should not be purchased. For a full list of the 27 eye care products the FDA has flagged, head to the website seen there on your screen. And many of us in the first state were hit with the news of higher water rates announced earlier this year, so a rate reduction from another utility is hopefully some pleasant news for you. Starting in November, Delmarva Power is lowering the gas cost rate by 18%. Based on this adjusted rate, the average residential gas customer would see a total monthly decrease in their bill of about $16. The decrease affects just the cost of gas, however, which Delmarva Power says is a direct pass-through cost to consumers with no markup and is typically adjusted annually but may be adjusted during the year due to rising or falling market prices. As part of its effort to reduce the impact of increases in the cost of gas, Delmarva Power purchases and stores about half the natural gas needed to meet winter demand in the summer when prices are generally lower. And it's a good thing the rate is going down now. The World Bank warns that a major escalation of the war between Israel and Hamas could send oil prices surging as much as 75%. And as we sign off this evening, we asked our viewers on our social media pages to send us their favorite Halloween costumes. So whether you went to a party this past weekend, participated in a trunk or treat event, or actually trick-or-treating tonight, let's take a look at some of those hottest costumes around Delaware for 2023. Until then, we'll see you tomorrow night.
Topping the news tonight, Halloween night was truly scary for residents in the Bear area. That after a triple shooting occurred in the Salem Woods development. It happened shortly before 8 p.m. when many trick-or-treaters were still out for what should have been a fun-filled night. Instead, children and adults were forced to run for cover. When police arrived, they found two boys ages 16 and 17 had been shot, along with a 20-year-old woman. At least two suffered critical injuries. The triple shooting apparently took place near a home on Emily Court, where a haunted house was hosted in the garage of one homeowner. Neighbors say it attracted crowds of rowdy teenagers. Newcastle County Police blocked off a main access area to the neighborhood for several hours. Neighbors tried to comfort children who were blocked from getting home until nearly midnight. Investigators are working to determine what led to the shooting and who's behind it. If you have any information, contact Newcastle County Police or call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-TIP-3333. In other news, State Senator Darius Brown hosted a symposium today at the Chase Center on the riverfront. The venue is helping Brown make his point that companies looking to grow should consider Wilmington's Three River region as prime real estate. Brown's district includes the Brandywine, Christina, and Delaware rivers, along with the Route 9 corridor, plus the downtown riverfront. Among other things, the symposium, called Opportunity Lives Here, highlighted the riverfront and its transformation. The state senator says the area that was once polluted and a wasteland is now a thriving place to live and an attractive entertainment area as well. Brown also says the riverfront is now being replicated in places like Claymont, Delaware City, and Milford. He hopes today's symposium will spark the interest of manufacturing and bioscience companies along with small businesses.
We're driving investment and development into the 2nd Senatorial District. We're also highlighting the accomplishments and successes we've had over the last 5 years of investing over $300 million.
A former Indian River School District custodian is behind bars facing multiple felony counts tonight. He's charged with the sexual solicitation of a child. 66-year-old Wayne Long is accused of requesting sexually explicit images of underage boys through Snapchat in exchange for transportation to beaches in Sussex County. Police have identified 2 victims, but fear there may be more. Long supports several athletic teams, including Sussex Central High and other sporting events in other school districts. Police say he used social media platforms to target local boys for the past couple of years. If you or someone you know was victimized by Wayne Long, call Delaware Crime Stoppers at 1-800-TIP-3333. Looking for a fresh start? A digital tool called Clean Slate has been launched to help people with criminal records. The Office of Defense Services is behind the new tool. It's designed to help people navigate what has been both a complicated, timely, and costly process. Reports indicate 290,000 people are eligible for mandatory expungement, but only a little over 1,000 were able to get their criminal records cleared. Delaware's Clean Slate law is set to go into effect next August. In other related news, if you have an outstanding warrant or capias, this Friday is your chance to get it resolved. Safe Surrender Day will take place at the Kent County Courthouse from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. Judges, public defenders, prosecutors, police, and probation officers will be working together there to resolve warrants and capiases from any Delaware court. Many are traffic offenses, with 55% related to failure to pay child support. To be clear, this doesn't mean offenders can get to walk away scot-free. Those wanted for violent felonies will be taken into custody on the spot. Organizers say Friday's event should not be viewed as an amnesty day. Rather, it's a chance to set up payment plans, get new court dates, and find resources for help to get cases resolved. No other Safe Surrender Days are on the books yet, but more could be scheduled to take place in Dover and in Wilmington. In news from Legislative Hall, one state lawmaker is asking for public feedback on several of his controversial bills. The next legislative session isn't until January, but Republican State Senator Bryant Richardson is asking the public to email him now. The first measure would require athletes to participate in sports associated with their biological sex. Richardson says his so-called Fairness to Girls Sports Act would level the playing field for girls who would be competing against transgender students. Richardson's second bill is called the Help Not Harm Act. It would prohibit gender-affirming surgery for children. The third bill he wants the General Assembly to tackle is called the Women's Right to Know Act. It would require healthcare practitioners to offer to show women ultrasound imaging or a chance to listen to the fetal heartbeats of their child before terminating a pregnancy. If you'd like to tell the senator how you feel about any one of these bills, email him at his address seen here on the screen. That's bryant.richardson@delaware.gov. In other news from the Dover Capitol, the city is getting a fleet of electric lawn equipment. The $500,000 grant from Energize Delaware will pay for the pilot program. The city will try out 2 electric riding mowers, a Chevy Bolt, and 6 Ford F-150 Lightning pickup trucks. The city also received more than $11,000 from the Delaware Department of Environmental Control's Delaware Electric Vehicle Charging Rebate Program. Some of the funds will be used to upgrade the city's electric infrastructure for the installation of the chargers. All this in an effort to go green. Also in Kent County, an overpass is getting a new look, one that honors a local fallen hero. In 2018, the old Lebanon Road overpass was dedicated to Elizabeth Lonke. She was the first Delaware woman to lose her life during Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2007. Now a mural of the American flag is being painted on the overpass. The Delaware Department of Transportation commissioned a professional artist to paint both sides of the bridge as a tribute to Lonke. While every overpass on the Route 1 bypass is getting a fresh paint job, DelDOT says this one will be extra special because it's near the Dover Air Force Base. And the Delaware Food Bank wants to help fill in the gap for families this month as the Thanksgiving holiday approaches. Drive-through pantry locations will be held in all 3 counties. Here are the locations and the details. In Sussex, go to the Crossroad Community Church on November 6th at the address on your screen. In Kent County, a drive-through will be held on November 8th at the Dover Motor Speedway. And in Newcastle County, a final drive-through for the month will be held at Delaware Park. All of the giveaways will begin at 10 a.m. You should be pre-registered because there will be no registrations taking place on site. Assistance will be a first-come, first-served basis and is limited to one per household. You must bring proof of a Delaware residency. That includes state-issued IDs, utility bills, or Delaware SNAP cards. The food bank is prepared to help 1,200 households at each of the 3 sites. And with Halloween in the rearview mirror, that can only mean one thing. It's less than 3 weeks until Big Ives Turkey Drive. Up to 100,000 people, many of them senior citizens and families in need, have been given a turkey for Thanksgiving dinner for the past 4 decades of Stormin' Norman Oliver's Thanksgiving Turkey Giveaway. Last year was Oliver's final turkey drive, and he personally passed the baton to none other than Ivan Thomas, the founder and creative force behind DETV. Thomas has set up his website where you can donate or volunteer to hand out thousands of turkeys that are being collected. Just go to the address on your screen if you'd like to join the DETV team for this very good cause. And we're all looking forward to that. Topping the news, do you recognize this girl? She's 15-year-old Cadence Hicks, and she's been missing since September 7th. That's when Newcastle County Police say she left home in Wilmington. Investigators believe the teen was headed to Westchester, but she hasn't been seen or heard from. A gold alert was issued for Cadence on September 19th. Police are now asking for the public's help in locating her as there is a concern for her welfare. Cadence is 5 feet tall, weighs 115 pounds, has brown eyes and black hair. If you see her, contact Newcastle County Police immediately. Turning now to election season, it's still early, but one poll indicates Delaware U.S. Senator Sarah McBride is the favorite among voters for the U.S. Senate. Out of 600 voters polled for the Citizens for Judicial Justice, 22% supported McBride. Her Democratic rivals fared much worse. State Treasurer Colleen Davis ranked only 6%, while Delaware State Housing Director Eugene Young came in last place with 4%. During the polling period conducted October 7th through the 14th, Republican Danielle Hall announced she was joining the race for the House seat. It's not clear if she or any other Republicans received significant support. As for the U.S. Senate race, Congresswoman Lisa Blunt Rochester is in the lead with 43% support. Walmart executive Eric Hansen, a Republican, announced he's also running for the seat, but his announcement came after the poll. Both are running for the seat that will be left vacant now that U.S. Senator Tom Carper announced he's retiring. Home improvement contractors will now be required to follow new regulations. Those regulations are designed to better protect homeowners after a growing number of complaints poured into the Consumer Protection Unit with the Delaware Department of Justice. The new regs require contractors to provide customers with written contracts that list all materials and a date of completion. Among other things, the new regulations also prohibit contractors from getting a certificate of completion from the homeowner before all the work is actually done. For a list of the tighter regulations, go to the Consumer Protection Unit page on the DOJ's website. In news from Delaware State Police, the victim of an October 29th murder in Laurel has been identified. He's 18-year-old Kylie Robinson. He was shot multiple times at a home on the 500 block of West 7th Street. There were 2 other victims. A 15-year-old boy was released from an area hospital, while a 13-year-old boy remains there in stable condition. Police don't know if the violence was directed at one or all of the victims. That investigation is still underway. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-TIP-3333. 2 Delaware elementary schools that serve predominantly low-income students are among a host of U.S. schools named as 2023 National ESEA Distinguished Schools. ESEA schools, formerly known as Title I, are those that have numbers of low-income students and are eligible for federal funding. Smyrna Elementary School in the Smyrna School District is being recognized for closing the achievement gap between student groups. Students there made significant progress on the 2022 to 2023 standardized tests. West Seaford Elementary School in the Seaford School District is being recognized for excellence in serving special populations. West Seaford made progress towards English language proficiency for multilingual learners. The schools will be honored in early February at the 2024 National Conference of ESEA Schools. And barbecue lovers will be happy to hear a popular Maryland-based chain plans to open in 2 new locations. Mission Barbecue will soon call Kirkwood Plaza on Kirkwood Highway home, with another location opening in Rehoboth. The chain and its decor place a large focus on veterans and first responders, but it's the wide variety of barbecue meats and sauces that are the main draw. Last August, when Mission Barbecue held pre-opening events at its new location at the Concord Gallery on Concord Pike, social media pics showed lines around the building. The 2 new locations are also expected to be crowd pleasers. The chain expects the Kirkwood Highway and Rehoboth Beach restaurants to open sometime next year. Speaking of popular spots to eat, Helen's Sausage House moved to Main Street in Newark. Social media pics also showed plenty of long lines there. Helen's used to be a legendary roadside joint popular with truckers and hunters because of its early hours when business was booming on Route 13 in Smyrna. But that was before the bypass opened and forced traffic around the restaurant. The new location is where Duck Donuts and the old post house used to be in Newark. The restaurant will be run by Helen's grandson after his grandmother, who ran the Smyrna location, passed away. Cliff Murphy thinks the college town will be perfect for the eatery. What makes it so popular, you ask? The sausage is deep fried. You can also get down-home cooked scrapple, a pork chop sandwich, bacon, and other local favorites. No flying saucer was seen in Kent County. That's the futuristic home of Barney and Carol Vincelette. The saucer-shaped home has now been nominated to be included on the National Register of Historic Places. Built in 1969 and located outside of Houston, Delaware since 1977, the Delaware State Review Board for Historic Preservation recently voted to move forward with the nomination. To be accepted as a historic property, the home needs to be at least 50 years old and possess historic, cultural, or archaeological value. In Newcastle County, last year's first ever lighting of Rockford Tower was such a hit, park officials decided to celebrate the moment the lights will go on for this holiday season. So this Saturday, there will be a happy hour with food trucks, drinks, and artists showing off paintings of Wilmington scenes before they flip the switch at dark. And in Sussex County holiday events, government officials kicked off the annual food drive this week. It will culminate with the 40th annual Caroling on the Circle. County officials hope to collect thousands of canned goods to be distributed through area food banks, beginning at 6 p.m. on Thursday, December 7th. Caroling is the lead-in for the Georgetown tree lighting and annual Georgetown Chamber of Commerce Christmas Parade. Since its inception in the 1980s, Caroling on the Circle has collected almost 800,000 items for local food pantries. Food items will be collected during the caroling event, but can also be dropped off from now until the end of December at the county administrative offices next to the courthouse in Georgetown. And finally tonight, a rather unique distinction for the cities of Newark and Wilmington. According to a national survey, Newark is ranked second on the list of America's towns with the most interest in used clothes. You heard right, the college town made the list because there were so many Google searches for secondhand clothes. Places like Plato's Closets are popular with college students to search for gently worn clothes. Wilmington ranked number 7 on the top 10 list thanks to pre-loved clothing spots like Urban Vintage, the thrift shop at Tower Hill, and the newly located Salvation Army thrift store near the riverfront. That's going to do it for this edition of DETV News. Be sure to watch us on all social media platforms and hit that like and share button. You can also watch us on Comcast Channel 28 at 7:30 every Tuesday through Thursday. I'm Lauren Wilson. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.